Hello and welcome to That's Entertaining, the show where events, entertainment, and technology collide. My name is Arthur Kay. I am your host, and I'm coming to you live from Fusion Events HQ in Toronto, Canada. And we are multi-streaming to Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and yeah, great to be here for episode 2 of season 2. It is going to be a great show. You are going to want to stick around for the entire thing today because it's going to be jam-packed. We're going to be talking about large action models. I was supposed to talk about that last week, but it was just there was too much to do. And we had Liz Lathan last week, and she was just amazing. So if you missed that, you can always go and check that out. And, now is also a great time to say hello in the comments and let us know that you're out there watching. Where are you watching from? It's here, got a downpour of snow in Toronto. What is the weather like where you are? Are you somewhere nice and warm? I hope so. I can't complain. It's been a good, very mild winter here, so no complaints there. So yes, like I said, at a great show today. We've got Anthony Vade from Encore, who is a wonderful, lovely guy, brilliant mind, and has his finger on the pulse of the events industry. So we have a lot to unpack there. And also, last week we tried out something new for the first time. It worked and it didn't work, but we're going to try it again today. And that is, you have the ability to call in to the show. You can, if you're, shy, you don't want to go on camera, you don't have to. You can just be audio only, or if you want to actually come on screen with us and chat, share your thoughts, share your expertise, share your knowledge, or your opinions or your disagreements. We're totally okay with that here. We like, all perspectives, and it's a great opportunity to, get some screen time. And I'm even happy to, chop that up after the fact and send it to you so you can repurpose it. And I also want to highlight the importance or the great networking tool that is the LinkedIn comments. So be sure to use those and, let us know what you think throughout the show. If you have questions, put it in there. Oh, and about the Zoom thing, I almost forgot to tell you. You don't need to watch it on LinkedIn and Zoom. If you jump onto the Zoom link, which is in the LinkedIn comments, and it's only for my LinkedIn people. So if you're not watching on LinkedIn, jump over to LinkedIn right now, and you can jump into that Zoom meeting. The show is there in the Zoom meeting. You don't have to watch it in two places. And in that Zoom meeting, if there's multiple people in there, you guys can chat and, network and have a conversation as you watch the show, have a little bit of a sort of watch party in there. So that's kind of neat. And what else? If you do like the content, I always appreciate it if you give us a like, if you're watching on LinkedIn or Facebook, or a subscribe on YouTube. If you're watching on LinkedIn, you can ding my bell so that you don't miss any upcoming content. Okay, so I think I've covered all the necessary intro stuff. So we're just about ready to get into the first segment of the day. And last week I did Arthur's innovative talent search. But today I'm going to do Arthur's innovative tech corner or something like that. I don't know. These names, I got to work on the names. But, part of my mandate with the show is to feature emerging and innovative talent and technology that can also be applied to events. So let's get into the first segment. All right, so we are going to be talking about large action models, and something that I think is kind of went under the radar, this new hardware software product called Rabbit, which we're going to take a look at here in a second. And it's, I did cover the another product like this called the AI Pin by Humane, and that was in like maybe the second last or last episode of last season, which you can find that on YouTube. Just search Fusion Events, and you'll find all the live streams there. And that product was kind of struggling to solve a problem. It was kind of trying to find a problem to solve. But this one is interesting. So let's just take a look, and then we'll talk it through as we watch it together.
My name is Jesse, and I'm the founder and CEO of Rabbit. I'm so excited to be here today to present to you two things we've been working on: a revolutionary new foundation model and a groundbreaking consumer mobile device powered by it. Our mission is to create the simplest computer, something so intuitive that you don't need to learn how to use it. The best way to achieve this is to break away from app-based operating system currently used by smartphones. Instead, we envision a natural language-centered approach. The computer we're building, which we call a companion, should be able to talk to, understand, and more importantly, get things done for you. The future of human-machine interfaces should be more intuitive. Now, before we get started, let's take a look at the existing mobile devices that we use daily.
Okay, so we all are familiar with the mobile devices that we use daily. So let's get into the juicy stuff here. So yes, I want to talk about, let me find the spot here. Here we go.
Companies like Apple, what you're talking about, or LLMs, the type of AI technology.
All right, so we all know about LLMs.
For machines to understand you. The popularity of LLMs
like ChatGPT
over the past years has shown that the natural language-based experience is the path forward. However, where these assistants struggle is still getting things done. For example, if you go to the ChatGPT and use their Expedia plugin to book a ticket, it can suggest options, but ultimately cannot assist you in completing the booking process from start to finish. Things like ChatGPT are extremely good at understanding your intentions, but could be better at triggering actions. Another hot topic is a field of research around what they call agents. It has caught the eye of many open source projects and productivity software companies. What remains to be solved is for these agents to perform tasks end-to-end, accurately and speedily. The problem is forcing a model to perform a task it is not designed for, whether for a language model to reason about web page using super prompts or screenshots. We have yet to produce an agent as good as users simply clicking the buttons. To fulfill our vision of a
So that's the problem that this large action model solves, is being able to actually take actions on things, right? They have these agents, but they really struggle to get anything done.
And more importantly, how humans interact with them. We wanted to find a way for our AI to trigger actions on behalf of users across all environments. We want it to be universal, not just a Chrome plugin or a limited set of apps, but everything.
This is the game changer here.
iOS, Android, and desktop. These applications share something in common: the interface. They all have a user interface. So, at a philosophical level, if we can make an AI trigger actions on any kind of interface, just like a human would, we will solve the problem. This insight led us to create the Large Action Model, or LAM, as we call it. It is a new foundational model that understands and executes human intentions on computers, driven by our research in neural symbolic systems.
So basically, this AI is able to understand and use user interfaces. So that's really huge if it works as promised.
With interfaces. LAM can learn any interfaces from any software, regardless of which platform they're running on. In short, the large language model understands what you say, but the large action model gets things done. We use LAM to bring AI from words to action.
So I'll skip forward a little bit. This software is paired with this device called the Rabbit. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Her. What's the guy's name? I can't remember the actor. But so it's this guy falls in love with this AI companion, and this device actually looks like that from that movie. Now, Teenage Engineering, who they collaborate with to create this, make some really, really neat products. I actually had the chance to use one just the other day. It's a sort of synthesizer, sequencer. It's just designed in a really kind of fun and unique way.
With everything neat to interact with you and perceive your surroundings.
So for me, I'm not so much, interested in the device itself, although it's cool and it has some applications, but I'm interested in the large action models. If I have to use the device to be able to set that up and say, okay, send 10 personalized emails to these people, then go and create a campaign in Salesforce or HubSpot and manage certain things, that could be extremely useful.
With RabbitOS, I get a response 10 times faster than most of the voice AI projects. Rabbit answers my questions within 500 milliseconds.
Let's just fast forward a little bit here.
The film is a biographical thriller that
so you can ask it questions.
Play another song from the album.
Sure, playing Computer Love for you.
Okay, so you can play music.
Like
you can ask it to
Can you plan an easy schedule for
plan trips for you, etc. It's got a camera. So in terms of event applications, I asked ChatGPT how it thinks that a LAM could be used in events. And it's so funny because the response was large language models. It starts with large language models. It didn't even know what a LAM was. So I had to say, no. It is a large action model that can actually, it's an AI that can actually do things for you. And I was like, oh, okay. All right. I got you. So it spit out a couple interesting ones. So tailored recommendations. So LAMs can analyze attendee profiles and preferences to recommend sessions, workshops, or people to meet, enhancing networking opportunities and personalizing the event experience. This is a good one too. Accessibility features. They can also assist in providing real-time language translation, navigation assistance for visually impaired attendees, or other accessibility services. This one I'm on the fence about. Vendor and speaker coordination. LAMs can manage communications with vendors and speakers, scheduling reminders, confirming availabilities, and ensuring all parties are informed of any changes or updates. I mean, I think when it comes to speakers, you probably want to have a personal touch, but in terms of scheduling things and confirming availabilities, that would be nice if it could just take care of that, because that can sometimes be a real pain in the arse. Real-time problem solving. They can monitor event systems, example, registration, scheduling, to identify and resolve issues in real time, such as adjusting schedules or reallocating resources. So here's some ideas. What do you guys think about that? That could have some interesting applications in the event world. So that's large action models. This thing is coming out in April, so we don't really have any user experience feedback in terms of how good this thing is. And if you watch the whole demo, which is 25 minutes, it's pretty in depth. You'll see that it's this pretty affordable. So that could be an appeal. Anyone who was thinking about the AI pin and was like, I don't want a subscription-based thing plus the device. No subscription with this thing. So, if you want to check it out, you can go search Rabbit AI and pre-order. It's coming out in April, although I'm not sure if it's available in Canada yet. So let's move on to the next segment. Okay, so big news all over the interwebs. Obviously, the Super Bowl halftime show happened over the weekend, and I'll be honest with you, I don't watch football. I know nothing about football. I did not watch the game, but I am into entertainment, and so I watched the halftime show, and I'm gonna watch it together. We're gonna rewatch it together, and I'm going to sort of give a play-by-play, my analysis, and I want to give a disclaimer that any criticism is to be taken with a grain of salt, and it's just purely for entertainment purposes and just sharing my views as an entertainment and event professional on just things I notice and things I see, and just commenting on it. But make no mistake that the people involved in these shows are the best of the best of the best, and this is probably the biggest hybrid event in the world. So things are going to happen. There's going to be, things can happen, and it's how it gets dealt with. And we can all criticize it till we're blue in the face, but you can't deny the amount of work and talent that goes into something like this. So let's get into it. Let's switch this up to. And now it is an exciting time I've been waiting for to bring up my guest, and I'm going to give you a little background on him. So this is Anthony Vade, proudly known as an instigator, and I can attest to that, creator, disruptor, and change agent. For over 20 years, Anthony Vade has helped event stakeholders use strategic design and technology to create meaningful and memorable connections at events. Anthony is a true innovator, leading teams to actively reinvent and redefine experience design in the live events world. His team-based approach embraces and encourages an elevated way of thinking, grounded by human-centric design and a zealous attention to outcome-focused creative problem-solving. And on top of that, he's just a really nice guy. So please welcome Anthony Vade.
Oh, the audience applauding me already. Okay. I'm following Usher. I didn't realize I'd have to compete with Usher. Of all people.
Well, I mean, everybody's seen that performance already, so it's like nobody's has seen this with you here. So this is exciting. So
yeah, I promise I'll keep my shirt on the entire way through this. I won't.
If you don't mind, this is a family-friendly show. This is a business show. So Anthony, thank you so much for coming on. I'm so appreciative that you agreed, and I didn't have to, coax you into being here.
My pleasure.
So you are a experienced event prof. You got many years. You've worked in many facets of the industry. You are working directly with, the people at the top of the industry. I want to know, and I want a no BS answer, okay? I want, don't sugarcoat it for me. I really want to know, because you have your finger on the pulse. How are we doing in the events industry right now? What is going well? What are the challenges that we are facing right now? From your perspective.
There's quite a few, and it's interesting. Yeah. There's quite a few challenges that I think, and it's the beauty of meetings and events is they have a tendency to mirror what's happening within the organizations that they serve. So we as an industry have our own challenges and our own things we need to address in terms of how we put on and run events. I don't think much of that has changed even from pre-pandemic times. But what we're finding is, though, the topics that are really relevant to business in general are coming more to the forefront in the event space as well. So we're hearing about sustainability a lot, that our events need to be more sustainable, and that's linked to business putting an emphasis on the businesses being more sustainable. Diversity, equity, inclusion, belonging, a lot of those really important conversations in business as well are being talked about in events and meetings now, because that's where organizations show their culture. So I think one of the challenges we have right now as an industry is where we've been spending the last few years rebuilding, and that was a lot of internally focused things. And now we've got our customers, our clients, our bosses in some cases coming to us and starting to bring these big cultural, social movements and ESG kind of mandates into the event space. And we had enough complexity before trying to put on effective events. Now we add these other elements in, and it could be a little bit overwhelming for people out there who are just still getting their feet back.
And what is going well? How is the, what is the prospect for 2024 in terms of events? Because I hear a lot of different things. I hear, events are back, they're huge, and everybody wants to do events. But then I also hear from a lot of event professionals that it's slow. Things are slow, and that, people are still struggling to, recoup from the pandemic. All the challenges are not all necessarily gone. It's still hard to find people. What is your take on it?
I mean, I think really the claiming of resources for events and for teams is a big challenge, because you've got a lot of businesses scaling back or trying to scale back at the moment out of fear of, where the economy may be heading with rising inflation, et cetera. So it's one of those challenges linked to needing to do more or to incorporate more elements. Has meant that a lot of the traditional event planner style roles are a little bit overwhelmed. So what I'm seeing that's really positive in that respect is instead of wearing the weight of all of that new need for innovation and design, a lot of event planners are now reaching out to bigger teams and drawing in expertise in different areas. And in my case, and in my world, using a structured process in order to get the most useful and meaningful information out of those contributors to their event. So I think we're getting a bit more collaborative as coming out of the pandemic, because we were forced to be innovative and collaborative during the pandemic as we pivoted and we pirouette and we did all those usher moves to make us still relevant in events. So I think we're more open to collaboration than we were in the past. It used to be pretty siloed. Each person in the organization did their own thing and didn't really get around the same table. But I'm hearing a lot now, okay, we need to bring all these different players into the room together. We need to really think about how the event serves the culture of the organization. And that means we need to unlock the perspectives of those who are deeply invested in each of those areas that we're trying to change.
Right. And so you are personally involved in doing that and making that change through your work at Encore. And, I know that sometimes Encore can get a bit of a bad rap because they're a very large company. People tend to hate on people who are doing better than them. It's just the way it is. But the thing that I want people to appreciate is that, yes, Encore is an AV company. That's something that they do. But you have people like Anthony, Anthony's not you don't work in AV, right, Anthony? You're not an AV guy. I mean, maybe you used to be, but I'm sure you have stories.
Yeah, absolutely. About 20 years of my career was that. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I think, to your point, the position that we're taking at Encore when it comes to this sort of intersectionality, right, between the tech and the event, is most of these challenges that are coming up in events and in business culture in general are human challenges. Very deeply human challenges that we're trying to address, or the value that events are trying to bring, if we take it in a positive light, are about changing human behavior in a positive way. Technology is fantastic, but as we've seen, technology gives us the power to have this conversation across the internet on multiple platforms as well. But you and I talking together brings the human into that. So what we're working on a lot is understanding that technology is the tool, the method, the mechanism for that human interaction as well. And what we're doing a lot with customers from corporate through to associations, even major brands, we're talking about, okay, how are you connecting human to human? And then we put the technology in as well. So allowing teams to talk about the humans and then look at the technology instead of looking at the technology and saying, how can I get this into my organization?
Right. And so your title is Event Experience Strategy Director.
Strategy Director. Yeah,
it's a big title. Yeah. So what exactly do you do? Because I see you, flying around all over the place. You probably have like serious points from all the traveling. So and then, like I said, this is what I wanted to highlight, because this is what you're doing working for Encore. Tell us what it is that you're doing and how you hope that's going to affect change in the industry.
Yeah, so what a lot of businesses and especially associations right now are learning that events don't live in a bubble on their own. They do serve the business, but more importantly, over time, they serve as markers of the change that the business is trying to create. A really successful event is one that you look back at from 5 years ago and say, my world changed at that event. I met so-and-so. I met Arthur at an event. And then that was a great moment when we met
at a special event.
Yeah. And then we bumped into each other at another event. We were at an awards night together. So our relationship was formed over a series of events, not one event in a bubble. So what organizations are getting myself and my team in to do is to start to understand what is the connection between these different events and these different moments, and how do we make sure that one event serves into another one, which feeds into the culture, and then over time, it increases the value, it increases the transformation that happens. So what I do and what my team does is we go into boardrooms, meeting rooms, and we bring these teams together to get around the table and talk about not only the event that we're designing and what's going to happen at it, and how we can innovate and be creative through the event experience, but also getting to grips with, hey, you're in the C-suite, Bob sitting across the table from me, and I see Jen's there as the head of DE&I. Okay, let's talk about what you're doing within your organization and how this event needs to help you achieve that. We're getting it down on paper. We're sharing that perspective amongst all of the contributors who are involved in the event, from speakers through to the frontline team delivering the event, and making sure that they understand that role of the event and that they play their roles in contributing to that positive transformation.
And you're using the event canvas methodology to do some of this?
I mean, using a whole suite of methodologies. Stuff from the tech industry, stuff from the Event Design Collective, basic design thinking principles, which have been around for years and championed by people like IDEO, business model generation. We're doing change mapping, journey mapping over time as well. So yeah, it's there's an old saying, if the only tool you have is a hammer, eventually everything starts to look like a nail. So instead, we've built out a massive toolbox of all different processes, methodologies, workshops, ways that we can get together to navigate the conversations and really explore potential solutions. So it's not one methodology that sort of caters to everything. The event canvas is really powerful for getting the event under wraps, but sometimes when we're interfacing with the C-suite, that process may not be for them to participate in, but we may use another tool to help the C-suite with the 15, 20 minutes we get with them to extract that information from them and then feed that into something like the event canvas.
Right. And I want to talk to you about event design a little bit. Yeah. Does every event need to have that event design approach? Because I think, and is event design for all planners? Because sometimes especially in busy times, we sort of fall into, oh, have a new client, they have a 60-person event, it's in a casual place, in a loft or something. Okay, book the venue, book the thing, book the vendors, make the itinerary. Have we designed anything, or have we just booked a bunch of vendors?
Yeah, I mean, you've scheduled something there, and I think one of the challenges we have as an industry is differentiating between what is strategy and design and what is planning and project management, because they're both vital and they both serve a role in the lifespan of the event. But you say design to people, and they think of different things. Some people think about graphic design, visual, sort of aesthetics. Some think decor and lighting, and they're all forms of design. If we strip design back to the simplest definition of it, it's helpful to think of design in that design thinking way. So if we take engineering thinking, which is generally, I have a problem here and I need a solution here, what's the most direct line to that solution? And engineers like to solve problems and do it rapidly. The difference with design thinking is we spend more time really exploring the problem and really get to grips with that. So a really good event and experience design strategy will really be unpacking and unraveling a lot of the complexity, more than a traditional engineering project management sort of mindset. So yeah, you do need to apply intentional design to creating event experiences. Now, the complexity of the event dictates how much time you need to invest in that. If you're doing a massive citywide convention with 20, 30,000 people attending it, you're going to need to put a bit more time into unraveling the complexity, finding elegant solutions. Design thinking is really powerful. If it's a dinner function for, say, a bunch of account managers and their customers, you probably don't need to put as much time into designing that as a team. But I would challenge them to say you need to still get in the room, write down on paper what you're going to achieve at that little dinner, and then be able to measure afterwards if it was successful or not. So design's really getting to grips with what are you doing. You make sure that you're designing the right things for the right people before you start to move into project management and planning and getting really finite and detailed. So that design can then serve you throughout the event. And if you do it right, you do really heavy lifting in year one. And if you're doing repeat events, you're coming back and referencing all that deep thinking, deep research that you did, and just asking, okay, how does this next event build on the last one? And that allows for that continuous improvement mindset that comes with design thinking.
Right. Well, some great knowledge there. And I do want to let people know, because we're coming near to the end, if you did have a question or want to share a thought or an idea, you can jump into the Zoom meeting now, which the link is in the LinkedIn comments. Don't be shy. We're happy to have you. You don't need to be on video. We can do audio only. And I did want to ask you one thing, because talking about event design and sort of project management and sort of titles, what are your thoughts about sort of titles in the events industry? Because there's a lot of different sort of definitions of, like, producer, for example. And like when I travel to the US, I meet people who are producers, but it seems like their role is a lot different than what we call producer in Canada. And likewise with event design, I came from the wedding industry originally, where you have event designers, but they're really more like decor designers or aesthetic design. So, I mean, is it important that we align ourselves in terms of these different titles, or just let it be a free-for-all? And sometimes it's hard to know what a person actually does based on their title.
It's a massive challenge, and I think it's a bit of a maturing moment for us as an industry to sort of say, are we going to align on how we call roles? Because roles, being able to articulate what the role is and what the person's expected to do in that role is vital. And I think we're not great at that at the moment. We've had a tendency to call everybody an event planner and then load them up with everything. And by the way, you also need to be a designer and a strategist, and I like to make a comparison. Yeah, like event marketing, whatever it might be. It's like building a house or building a commercial building, right? Your architect is coming up with the look and the aesthetic in that design process. You're going to have a structural engineer. You don't expect the architect to be also an expert structural engineer. Likewise, you don't expect that architect to be there installing the tiles when they build the building, right? Or painting the walls. So I think
But it seems like the general public do view event planners as like sort of a Swiss Army knife of everything.
Let me be controversial and say I don't think the general public even thinks about event planners.
Yes,
and if they do,
probably not much. But when they do, they think of them as a Swiss Army knife, a one-man or a one-stop shop, I should say.
Yeah, I think that is why it is still getting classified as the top 5 most stressful jobs in the world, because we keep taking it on and not building the team to deliver. And I mean, you look at the film and television world, right? You have director of photography, you have directors, you have first ADs. There's very clearly defined roles, and those people in those roles know what they're going to achieve. And to your point, we have 5 or 6 vague roles that different people are doing different things within. So it's a challenge.
Yeah. Well, curious to know what everyone out there thinks about roles in the events industry. And now is my favorite time of the show. Anthony, are you ready?
No, but that's okay. Let's do it anyway.
So this is a new segment where, I take my poor guests and put them in the hot seat. And you know what? Actually, it worked out really well last week with Liz. If you haven't had a chance, check it out on last week's episode, because she did drop some great bombs, knowledge bombs, and under pressure. And so how it's going to work is, well, first let me introduce the segment, which is called Hot Takes. Are you ready for hot takes? So this is how the game works, Anthony. I'm going to give you random words, thoughts, ideas around the events industry, and you have when you see 1 minute on the clock appear, then you can give your thoughts. Now, I will be awarding you arbitrary points that will win you absolutely nothing except for bragging rights for being on the show, which not many people have. Only one other person in the entire world has that bragging right now. And it's just, you can have fun with it. You don't have to use the whole minute. You're welcome to use the whole minute, however we go. So let's get into it. Okay. Are you ready? Let me see. Let's pick a good one for the first one. Something to warm up on. He's got his own sound effects. Okay.
Oh, neurodiversity.
All right. So
neurodiversity.
Wait, don't start yet. You have a second to think about it when you see the minute on a clock, and go.
Part of the reason I was so encouraged to talk about neurodiversity is because I am myself neurodivergent with comorbidities for dyslexia and ADHD. I'll focus for my last 50 seconds on one in particular, which is dyslexia. I have a theory that there's a lot of people in the event tech space living with dyslexia for 2 reasons. One, it is 20% of our global population have dyslexia of some form. It's a spectrum from it's massively affecting their life to minor effects on their life. And what I have this theory around is that dyslexic thinking, which has been researched a lot, really benefits those who need to sort of be aware of their space and be able to design things effectively. So I've known a lot of dyslexic event people, and I think it actually helps us. It's actually a positive neurodiversity. How's that?
I'm actually going to give you 105 points out of 100 for that one, for sharing personal information about yourself. And I think that's an important thing to do. And I especially think as men, we're often very reluctant to share things about mental health, and I think it's important that we do that more. So
check out my LinkedIn profile too. There's a ton more stuff about that in my LinkedIn profile.
There you go. And you should, regardless, follow Anthony because he's a good person to follow. Okay, let's do the next one. Oh, okay, this is a good one. Dun, dun, dun. Where's the sound effect? Can you do that one more time? Dun, dun, dun. There we go. Okay, so you have 1 minute on the clock to talk about what you think the future events looks like. Go.
Okay, the future of the events, and I think we've seen this happen already. Coming out of the pandemic, we realized the biggest thing we missed wasn't the catering, wasn't the education, it was the human connection. So I think the future of events are even more deeply human than they are right now. And what a lot of event designers and strategists are doing is designing events so that we get out of the way of the humans and let them connect with each other. We insert content in smart ways so that they can foster conversations with the attendees, so that they can form bonds. And when they leave the event, they keep those relationships going. They keep exploring that content, messaging, and education together. Because when we're together as a community, we certainly are more willing to embrace and drive change. Love it.
89.5 points for you on that one, sir. Very well done. Very well done. And let's do one more. Let's see. Let's get a good one here. So many options. Here's a good one.
I'm now questioning how random it is.
No, it's random. I have a whole list here that I've put just random words and thoughts, and just based on how I feel, or I'm just pulling the ones I think that you'll give a good answer to. So you have 1 minute on the clock, starting. Are virtual events dead? Starting now.
I think virtual events are going to change. I think that we've unlocked an online ecosystem. We've started to connect with each other online in different ways. And this started back with social media when they first fired up. We then were forced into this virtual event world. And now we're kind of transitioning, and I call back to Liz from your last episode. We're now transitioning to online communities. As remote work continues to be what it is for many businesses, events are going to continue to have some digital presence. Because there's too much value in making this content available to the wider community around the world. If we consider them purely virtual events or not in the future, I think we may change our language a bit. But I think there's always going to be a digital version of a live experience, because getting access to that information afterwards and that community afterwards is just far too valuable to miss out.
You get hearts for that, and I'm also sending them to you for Valentine's Day, which is tomorrow, nice. Because sending you a lot of love for your great answers and for being on the show. So at this time, I want to thank you very much for being on the show and for sharing so much valuable information. And I know from firsthand that Anthony is the kind of guy that if you have a question or you're curious about something or you want an opinion, that he will take the time to answer you back. And he's a great connector of people. He's the kind of guy that will say, hey, you got to meet this person, you got to meet this person, and really appreciate that about you, Anthony. So what's the best way for people to reach out to you?
I think jump on to LinkedIn. As I said, there's a bunch of additional resources there that people can access on my profile, and just let's start a conversation. I think the most powerful thing we have in bringing people together as an industry is the conversations that we allow them to have at our events. Let's not forget to have conversations with each other. So please take some of that, challenge me with it, ask questions. To your point, I'd love to connect your viewers with some of the thinking that I've been applying.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely check out Anthony Vade. Anthony, once again, thank you so much. Hope you have a great. Is it snowing in where are you, in Scarborough or?
I'm in Etobicoke and I'm in a basement,
yeah.
So I couldn't tell you, but it was this morning. Bit cold again.
Yeah. Well, stay warm, and I can't wait to the next time we get to chat.
Likewise, my friend.
Take care, my
Thank
friend.
you.
All right. Take care.
Yeah.
Okay, so that brings to conclusion another episode of That's Entertaining. I want to thank you for sticking around and listening to the show or watching the show live. Hope you got some good information out of that. If you did and you enjoy what you saw, please subscribe on YouTube if you're watching there. You can like the post on Facebook and LinkedIn. You can ding the bell on my profile to stay in touch and get the notifications when we go live. And next week is going to be a great episode. We have DJ Graffiti, aka Martin Smith, who is making waves all over the world with his style of corporate event DJing. He calls himself the keynote DJ, so I'm looking forward to chatting with a fellow music head and a fellow event professional. So tune in next week. That is I don't know what the date is, but it's next Tuesday. Tune in, and thanks for watching. My name's Arthur Kay, and I am signing out.